Good morning, everyone. Everybody getting excited about the coming holiday season? Okay. Well, you should be getting excited about it. You have the opportunity to do some beautiful work that'll make you feel really good, and that is to give. Did you know that the outward expression of true love is giving? That's all it is. That is the expression of love. So now, what I have to say to you is really important. We, every year, do a Christmas production that inspires people, and some people can only come to our Christmas presentation because they're up there in years and they can't get out every Sunday, but they do look forward to our Christmas production. And this year will be no different. And we're putting our choir together for this Christmas production, but we are really short on people. We need some voices. If you want to do something that's really worthwhile this year, sign up for the choir. Zoe is in the lobby. Zoe is managing a lot of these different areas of our church so that we can get things clearly done. Think about this. Thursday at 6:30, show up for the choir and see how it is. I think you're going to love the whole thing because you'll be able to sing this beautiful music and you'll feel creative and you'll be giving something really needed to people. Okay. Is there anybody here from another Unity? Anybody here for the first time? Keep your hands up high. If you're here for the first time, we have a gift for you. Did you see those two new Lexus parked in the parking lot? Brand new. That's not the gift we're going to give you. But come on down. Here they go. Look at it. You guys are a little slow on the gifts. Is there anybody here for the... Oh, yeah, they're all here for the first time. Is there anybody here for the last time? That you've had enough? Okay, well, look. You are going to enjoy this talk coming your way. So, and remember, when you finish this talk, in the lobby, go see Zoe, sign up for the choir.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unity of Boulder. Those of you who are joining us here in person and those of you who are joining us online, welcome. Thanks for spending some time here at Unity of Boulder. We got a few announcements of upcoming things, and as you heard Jack talk about the choir, it really is a wonderful experience for everyone who joins it. You get to meet a lot of people, but also the other thing to remember is you don't have to think of yourself as an amazing singer. You don't have to have spent time in your life singing. Even if you just enjoy singing, please come. Norma will find a wonderful spot for you where you'll sound perfect in the choir, so please check that out. This coming December, we are going to be having our annual holiday craft fair. If you make hand goods or anything that is homemade and you'd like to get a table, or you know someone who does make homemade goods and crafts, they can be anything as long as they're homemade. They don't necessarily have to be holiday themed, but we've got quite a few tables left for that, and we're going to be doing that on Sunday, December 3rd and December 10th, right over here in Fellowship Hall. And if we get enough, we're going to actually put people even downstairs and have another room for it downstairs. The tables are just $50, and you get a 6x3 table and put all your stuff out and hopefully sell some goods. So talk with Heather in the lobby about that, and it's real easy to sign up for. Let's see, and don't forget, we're getting close to the end of our holiday Christmas wreaths that we sell here for $50 each. These are the best wreaths. It's a fundraiser here for Unity of Boulder, and we're just about, I think we've got about a week left where you can still order them because they have to be made early. So please check that out. This coming Friday, we are having an event in here in in Fellowship Hall. And this is our new member tea. It's kind of a little party. It's for everyone who in this last year, in these last two classes, have finished either Santisha or Jack's class. And those were membership classes, so if you've completed those, you can become a member and you can join us at this tea. There'll be cheese and tea and wine. That's this Friday at 6. And then we'll actually make it official for those new members that completed those classes at the end of second service next Sunday. So stick around for that. It's always a beautiful service and a beautiful ceremony. So, all right, thank you very much.
Good morning. Nice to see you all here this morning. So this is the point in our service, which is a call for prayer. If you know anybody that's facing a challenge in their life right now, which we know lots of people in the world are facing a challenge, you can take a chance to take a slip out of the front of the pew and write their name down or the circumstance, but just a name, and you're welcome to pray for yourself and put your name on that. Steve Sheets, who's the head of our prayer team, will walk down the aisle and collect those sheets as he walks down this aisle. And then they will be brought and put up on this beautiful prayer box, and they'll be in there for 30 days here being prayed over every Wednesday night. And they also are prayed over by our prayer team. And then they're sent off 30 days after that for another month at Silent Unity, where they're prayed over there. So we know the power of prayer, and we understand that we know that we're not changing God in our prayers. We understand that we're vibrationally attuning with the highest consciousness that collectively connects all of us. And when we collectively come together in that type of energy, that's when healing happens. So really, we're just asserting ourselves as human beings into the spiritual self that evokes healing and prayers being answered. So let's sing this song as we contemplate this act of prayer and unity. It's called affirmative prayer, and we're seeing everything coming into healing.
You are the air I breathe. You are the air I breathe. Your holy presence living in me, and I'm grateful for you. And I'm grateful for you.
Let's sing it again. Now join us.
You are the air I breathe. You are the air I breathe. Your holy presence living in me, and I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for
And so it is.
Aloha, everyone. We're here to celebrate Maui and put our consciousness, and we have Susie Park Kelly and her amazing hula dances today to celebrate. There's going to be 2 dances. They're going to be in honor of Maui. The description of the dances you'll see in the slides, and in hula, the hands tell the story. So see what she's doing with her hands and follow along. Susie and several other artists started Colorado for Maui, a nonprofit organization, after the wildfires that have affected and destroyed Lahaina. So you can learn more about coloradoformaui.org. and how to get more information and also to make a donation. So welcome Susie Park Kelly.
Oka
Thank you. What a beautiful, beautiful way to start. Oh man, like it's just mesmerizing, those moves. I get to watch it from back here. I didn't get to see them rehearse today. Talk about meditation and motion, right? To connect with such a beautiful place as Lahaina. That is the only place in my whole life that I've ever wanted to move to in my life. I've been in Boulder all my life, grew up here, and in my 20s, I actually had told everybody I was moving and I was going to head to Lahaina to move there to actually be close to my girlfriend, Zoe, who's in the lobby. She'd moved there and had a store there, and I went there on my honeymoon and was like, I have to go live in this essence for a time being. I didn't think it was going to be a lifetime, but I knew I needed to go there at that point. And then, lo and behold, I was pregnant with my first child, 22 years old. And that was like the first adventure I was going to finally allow myself to go on. And then that was the beginning. I was going to start my adulthood as a mother with my husband at the time. And looking back from the vantage point that I'm at right now, I'm really contemplating how much my whole life has been mother. And what is it going to be like for that next phase when the last one goes in 3 years? I've been contemplating that a lot. And there's a lot of feelings around that reality, and I'm sure if you're a mother, you can understand that process of preparation for your life being about yourself. And, you know, obviously your career and your purpose and everything else, but I like me as a person in servitude. I want to keep that reality of myself even when they go, right? So, like, really figure out how I can nurture that giving aspect of myself. So today's talk is You Have the Power to Heal. And I wrote this talk thinking about the world and life and the counseling sessions I've had this week and circumstances that have come up and finding how we can get caught up in the world and people's behaviors in life in general. If we're really flying on our spiritual path, we're probably finding ourselves not around people as much, right? Because it's kind of this interesting vibrational pull to kind of stay in our higher consciousness, and it's harder to do it around multiple people versus kind of on our own, maybe in nature. I'm finding all of that. Being in nature, being with my dog, being with my closest confidant friends. Because it's not a time for giving into fears or shortcomings, which I think many of us are being shown some of those last aspects of ourselves since we've all been a part of this divine awakening, which really and truly started in 2013, and it's been growing and growing in depth and intensity, and we're told, you know, now we're seeing the natives coming forward and people coming forward from the indigenous tribes that's saying that the actual awakening will happen in 2026, which they had said it was going to happen in 2023. So we got to like dig deeper. We got deeper things to do to get to that. And so we got to set ourselves up with this state of consciousness that Unity teaches us about, that whatever we hold in mind is what we create in our life. Whatever we feel in body, in vibration, is what we attract to ourselves. Whatever we believe as God is, which we know that we are the essence, we are at the very highest consciousness, the collaboration of God as connected through each and every one of us. That there's this divine spark, this divine light that lives within each and every one of us, if we're willing to grow it, be with it, breathe with it, work that prana in our life force, in our meditation, in our walks, walking in gratitude and feeling this sense of oneness with this greater understanding that has to be birthed in all consciousness, in every person. But the best place to start is right here, within ourselves. To recognize that the issues that are surfacing are healing aspects that are possible in ourselves. They're actively producing more love and peace for this world as we discover more peace and love within our own personal world. Paul said, "Awake thou that sleepest, that Christ may shine upon thee," in Ephesians 5:14. And what is Christ but your own divinity? The particularization of the infinite source of life into the pattern of infinite embodiment. It is a perfect pattern. It is whole. And it is you at the point of God in divine unfoldment. And so, regardless of what we're seeing in the world, regardless of the issues we're having with other people, with our interactions with others, the divine fortress lives within here. And especially if you're really going deep into your work, using incense, sage, and being with your crystals, and being in the awe of the masterpiece of life. You know, it's like that hawk that's always going after the wings of the eagle. Have you ever seen, there's always this disturbance to the eagle that's seeing from this greater point of view, this greater light. They see above it all. They recognize that they're not a part of the discord of the world, but they are above all of it. But there's still this bird that's always messing with their tail and their wings. They're being tested all the time to say, are you going to keep flying high with this higher state of consciousness, regardless of this human experience that you're having? And it's the trickster. You know, the Native Americans talk about the trickster. The trickster wants to test our depth of peace and love in the very midst of us. And so we may be really finding more and more love and grandeur in this beautiful unfoldment as you in this world. But then all of a sudden, these silly things, these dark things, these awful interactions with certain people are coming out of the woodwork, and it's another opportunity to go, you realize that your wings are being messed with because we go deeper and deeper when something challenges this high state of consciousness. If it was just all easy, we wouldn't keep doing our meditation every day. We wouldn't be guided to go into that nature walk, to walk on those paths, to look at those chipmunks, to look at the animals, to see how many multiples are there and counting them and looking for the signs and symbols of spirit interacting in every aspect. It's that thing that keeps biting at us, that just keeps trying to pull you out of your peace. That's the proof of God to me. The proof that there's more and more growth, there's more and more acceptance, there's more and more forgiveness. Because when we have individuals pulling these kind of energies and using these kind of energies towards us, when you can look upon them with deep compassion and love, recognizing that the source of the reason why they're having these interactions with you is within them, and to still love them, and to still bless them, this is when you're flying. This is when we are truly and truly flying. We have to recognize that our good has not left us, and our good is in the midst of us. But the challenging things that we're facing are an opportunity to see past the minuscule energies of the lower nature, which is what we're burning out off of this earth right now. The lower nature of humanity that has overlooked this Mother Earth, this creative planet that created life for all of us. It's the part that overlooked that people could be billionaires like this, and then we have poverty right in the midst of our streets right here in Boulder, Colorado. That there's no equality to the human condition. That there has to be a balancing out. And so this is what's creating this tilt of uncomfortability to see the outer picture of what the collective has created. And so we're taking a task as an individual to do something greater, something broader. But it's not a selfish task. Because when we vibrate at the frequency of this higher understanding, it touches in with everyone else, and it starts weaving this gorgeous web of love that starts to protect, these things change the course we've been on, and we're participating as healers for this world and for this planet. And then everybody in our little individual world, in our family, in our homes, are also benefiting by our seeking first the kingdom of God, which is right here, right in the midst of us. So when we are going through difficult things like this, we have to judge not according to appearances, but judge righteous judgment. It's from a bigger picture. That's from John 7:24. To judge not according to appearances, but judge righteous judgment. What does that mean? When we're in a place where we look out and we are merging with the fear and the hardship of the world, we lose our balance. We lose our way. And that's where depression comes from. That's where sadness comes from. That's where deep grief comes from, because we're signing up with something that is so alien to the holy being that we were brought here to do and be. It's so alien to see what's going on. And yet we're part of it too. And we have to feel that too and grieve that as well. There's a part of all the things that make us unhappy and happy out in the world that are a part of us. So to take these opportunities to bring it back to growing us into this balanced love being that we're being called to be. So it's at times like these where we start to ponder the purpose of existence altogether. Who has been asking questions like that? The purpose of existence altogether. So about like 6 or 7 of you. There comes days when our spiritual transformation quickens and we start questioning everything we thought we knew. Before we just went going through the motions, but now we have this intuition that there may be a greater purpose to this human journey than previously thought. Do we decide our purpose, or is it predestined? Is there only individual purpose, or is there a collective purpose that we all share? Things like that. Do we believe there's divine order and that there's just one only divine purpose for each and every one of us? That would be pretty limited, wouldn't it? Right? If Edgar Cayce, who's one of the greatest seers that preceded us most recently in the last 100 years, he said, you have free will. You are perfect children of God, and you have free will. And there's many, many, many purposes of your existence this time. And it all has to do with where your consciousness grows to. That you'll be given unto you a different purpose at every different season. If you want it, if you want something different, you can change it. You're never stuck by a path you took that you're like, you know what, maybe this one isn't it. We get to get excited and just start working on the holiness of this vessel that is you. And as you work on that holiness in this vessel that is you, you find the divine unfoldment for this moment, right? And then even if that one doesn't work, just keep heightening consciousness and divine unfoldment. It's a whole lifelong, beautiful journey. When we get out of the way of times and schedules and deadlines and certain things we said we had to get to by a certain date, by a time, by an age, by a... there is no age, and there is no time, but this moment right here. This present time is the moment. And so all of that fleeting seeking we've all done, which we've all done that, seeking and thinking we're going to pull off something that we thought in our mind had to be the end all, be all, do all. And then maybe we achieved it and might have found ourselves feeling empty because it was all created of the intellect and not necessarily of the soul. Right? When the two things are merged of the intellect of something you really, really want to create and the heart, it's heart-backed, it's love-backed, that's when we seamlessly end up where we're meant to be. So despite the turmoil we see, we can fashion a new way of life. We have the opportunity to fashion a new way of life because We're divine in origin. And we are the participators. We are the second coming of Jesus. We're carrying a lot of pressure on our shoulders. If we want to call it pressure, or we can call it divine order. Edgar Casey said, souls came in at the same time. Many of us have traveled together. They're called soul families. And we've done this together many, many times. And there's no coincidence who you're sitting next to right now. When I have classes, I always know the collective that's sitting right there. They chose to be sitting in that class together. And there's a synergy of the consciousness of where everybody's at that point. And when you start to see that you're not alone in this world, but spiritually connected to a frequency, and then you find newer and newer friends from other lifetimes that got to these frequencies maybe before you or behind you, and you hit them, and all of a sudden there's that friend. They start talking, and in your home, you speak the same language, and yet you've been missing them your whole life, and you didn't know that they were there. Right? This is the stuff. This is the stuff of God that I have discovered this lifetime, over and over and over again. Because I look for it. I have faith in it. And I trust the process. That every time it gets rough and it gets tough, I know I can't wait to see the good that's going to come from this. Every time is a blessing and a birth on the other side of the very difficult stuff. So today I wanted to visit, I don't know if I'll get to many of them, a few stories, some of the stories that have encouraged this faith that I have in the unseen realms. Personal stories that have proved to me what I was raised to understand in Unity. I grew up in Unity. I was literally in a Unity since I was 3 years old, and that was 3 buildings ago here in Boulder, and then we had the other church, which is E-Town now, and then we built this church. I grew up in Unity. But that doesn't mean when kids grow up in Unity that they take it on and really want to understand how it works when life gets hard. I was divorced at 25 with a daughter, and I was a single mom for many years with her. And the soul family members that came to be the tribe that surrounded me during that time. I think about all the people that came in during the different phases of loss. Then I got remarried, and then my son died at a few hours old, a full-term baby. All those moments of life that I see these chapters and how the universe showed up with an outer picture, which are humans that held me, that loved me, that mirrored me into a better version of anything I'd ever been before. That there's a divine course to this when we let go of control. And it is in the tragedies of life that sometimes we're forced to a place of no control. It's a terrible feeling, but what you learn in the tragedies is that you never had control anyways. You never did. It was all an illusion in your mind, and you spent so much panicking, so much worrying about something that you couldn't control in the first place. All you can control is your consciousness, your heart, what you serve, what you are as a human being, as a spiritual being first, having a human experience. What are you bringing to the lover in your life? What are you bringing to your children in your life? What are you bringing to this world in your life? There's not sometimes you're on this path and sometimes you get to be an asshole. It just doesn't work that way because you'll get karma from that dark side. And I'm sorry, I'm glad I silenced that. Are you going to get mad at me?
I'm mad at you already.
I silenced it. That's growth. They're going to go bloop on the live stream. Unfortunately, we can't capture it because it's already going. Sorry about that. Anyway. And the karma that we'll find when we've done this thing that's out of alignment of our highest good is not created by some God outside of us that's going to project it back on us and get us for it. You know who's going to do that to you? You are. It's all within us. That guilt, that shame, the knowing that you can do better and you didn't. You can try to cut it off. You can try to be like, well, I just did that one time, and we just make these excuses, and we tell our friends that we did, and we get the validation that we really didn't do anything wrong, and we just do all these things to try to protect and pat ourselves because we knew we did something wrong. So that feeling attracts you to experience something similar or worse than what we bring to this universe. Ugh, that's a lot of responsibility, right? When you really, really, really get that, you'll probably spend a lot more time in silence and quiet, in meditation, reviewing and healing, reviewing and healing, reviewing and healing every broken aspect of you so that you are never a part of the inflection of those cuts in you on anybody, whether you think they deserve it or not. Discover the power within you on page 165. Eric Butterworth writes, Jesus taught that man lives in two worlds. I didn't have the time to do the man-woman thing. I'm busy these days. So break it down, ladies. It annoys me too. Unity, you could get on top of that. Here we go. Jesus taught that man lives in two worlds, not in succession, but concurrently. He lives in the world of appearances, the three-dimensional world of form and shape, of time and space. The world where we have fluctuating experiences of sickness and health, of peace and war, of harmony and chaos. But man also lives in the spiritual world as a spiritual being. So Jesus says, don't be mild in appraising yourself in life. You are whole, even if you are experiencing sickness. And you can be healed because you are whole. So the original state is wholeness, right? So the default in the subconscious and unconscious mind is wholeness. So just visualizing wholeness. What does wholeness feel and look like within you? You've met that version of yourself. And if you've lived in that version of yourself, you can go back to it like that. Because the original version is that. All the other stuff is past traumas. And yes, we do have to heal our past traumas, but if you've already healed it and you keep still visiting it, now it's time to find the wholeness in your happiness as you, as joy, as projection of this goodness, of this light. Bring the light to all of it. One of the hardest dualities is believing you are whole when you are sick and trying to figure out why. So I wanted to talk about that because I've experienced the loss of a friend to cancer 2 years ago. Somebody that I was friends with since 4 years old and grew up in Unity and the whole thing. And nobody can make somebody feel whole, no matter how much you love them, no matter how much attention, no matter how much you've given to that soul. In the end, it's just like anything else. We can walk them to the water, but they have to decide to drink. Some people come in with souls that just feel less than from the beginning. That's what she'd always say. I always never felt good enough. She didn't have a story of why or who or how. It just was her aura this time. And yet, she was a black belt in 4 martial arts. She was a singer. She played 10 instruments. She was beyond a person I've ever known in this world, and yet could not see it in herself. And then created outer experiences, never had the love of her life, never had the person. She was drop dead gorgeous. She had all the things going for her, but all she did was create a nightmare in this world for herself. Because she felt so lowly on herself. And I was one of her best friends. And I couldn't fix it. And then just finds out stage 4 cancer. And she's gone in 6 weeks. So I want to share the story that I've shared with you guys before, if you've been with me for the last, I think about 4 years ago. I'm sure you've heard of her, but I think it's a very encouraging story that we have to remember that we can heal ourselves. Anita Mirjani was dying of cancer. She wrote the book, Dying to Be Me. This book was given to me quite a while back from a friend named Lou Collins. She writes, after 4 heart-wrenching years with cancer, my body had finally had enough, and I went into a coma. As my husband rushed me to the hospital, the world around me started to appear surreal and dreamlike, and I could feel myself slip further and further away from consciousness. The moment I arrived at the oncologist, they saw me, and her face visibly filled with shock. Your wife's heart may still be beating, she told Danny, but she's not really there. It's too late to save her, as she slipped into a coma. And I want to play this video for you.
In fact, it was more like I was feeling the emotions behind the words, as there was no other way of communicating in that realm other than through our emotions. Yes, I'm here, my darling, and I've always been here for you and our whole family, my father communicated to me. Again, there were no words, just emotions, but I clearly understood. And then I recognized the essence of my best friend Sony, who died of cancer 3 years prior. I felt what I can only describe as excitement, as their presence enveloped me like a warm embrace, and I was comforted. I seemed to know that they'd been around me for some time, long before I became aware of them, all through my illness. I was also aware of other things around me. I didn't recognize them, but I knew they loved me very much and were protecting me. I realized that they were there all the time, surrounding me with so much love, even when I wasn't conscious of it. It was tremendously comforting for me to reconnect with Sony's essence, for I'd missed her so much during the years since she'd gone. I felt nothing but unconditional love, both from her and for her. And then, just as I experienced that, it was as though my essence merged with Sony's and I became her. I understood that she was here, there, and everywhere. She was able to be in all places at all times for all her loved ones. Although I was no longer using my 5 physical senses, I had unlimited perception, as if a new sense had become available, one that was more heightened than any of our usual faculties. I had 360-degree peripheral vision with total awareness of my surroundings. And as amazing as it all sounds, it still felt almost normal. Being in a body now felt confining. Time felt different in that realm too, and I felt all moments at once. I was aware of everything that pertained to me, past, present, and future, simultaneously. I became conscious of what seemed to be simultaneous lives playing out. I seemed to have a younger brother in one incarnation, and I was protective of him. But I knew that this sibling's essence was the same as Anoop's, only in that existence, he was younger instead of older than I was. This life I was now perceiving with Anoop seemed to take place in an underdeveloped rural setting, in a time and location I couldn't identify. We were living in a sparsely furnished mud hut, and I looked after Anoop while our parents went out to work in the fields. As I was experiencing the sensations associated with being a protective older sister, ensuring that there was enough for us to eat and we were safe from any undesirable external elements, it didn't feel like a past life. Even though the scene appeared historical, in that realm it still felt as though it were happening here and now. In other words, time didn't run linearly the way we experience it here. It's as though our earthly minds convert what happens around us into a sequence.
I don't know if you've ever had that experience where you've woken up from a dream and it was so vivid and you were in a world that had nothing to do with what's going on here. And there's an energy, there's a love, you know everybody in that place, but you couldn't name them, you couldn't say who they are, it just is a life that's happening at the same time. You might find this intriguing, or you might think I'm crazy. But I don't really care what you think, because this has been my journey, this is my experience, and I'm sharing it with you to hopefully make you curious about the possibilities in it. So the feeling that Mirjani had was of complete unconditional love. It was unlike anything she'd ever known before. It was totally indiscriminating, as if she didn't have to do anything to deserve it, nor did she need to prove herself to earn it. That's important words right there. To my amazement, she said, I became aware of the presence of my father who died 10 years earlier. Dad, you are here. I can't believe it, she said. I wasn't speaking those words. I was merely thinking them. In fact, it was more like feeling the emotions behind the words, as there was no other way of communicating in that realm other than through emotions. And then I recognized the essence of my best friend, Sony, who died of cancer 3 years prior. I seemed to know that they'd been present with me long before I became aware of them all through my illness. All of these words are so important, so important, because it doesn't take a tragedy to understand this communicative process. I don't feel Maya has left me, my girlfriend. I know I have absolute direct connection with her. It's a different way of communication, and when I need to call on her, I hear her, right? Right before she passed away, I was with her, and she was upset about something, and I was trying to encourage her to have a different approach in her mindset. And she said, I can't do that. I'm not like you, Santisha. And all I hear her lately saying, you're the strongest woman I know, which I need to hear that right now in my life. I constantly hear Maya saying, you're the strongest woman I know. And I know that's not made up by me because I barely remembered the conversation, but those words are everything right now for me. The heightened awareness in that expanded realm was indescribable. We do not have to die to experience these NDE experiences that people talk, near-death experiences. We're always in this process of birthing and dying as far as our consciousness goes. It's always the resurrection and death. It's the whole process. It's just part of it. And when we think we've figured it out and we're finally just going to stay in resurrection, it's an amazing road. It is a powerful road. It's a hard road. But these tools work. When you trust and you let go and you start to flow and understand that it's all for us, it's all in divine order, doesn't mean it's not going to hurt. But you'll move through it much quicker when you trust the process and you let go and you go in that river. So she says, as I lay there in the hospital, even before anyone informed my brother that I was in a coma and my final stages of life, he sensed something was wrong. Anup was living in Pune, India, and something compelled him to contact a travel agent and book a flight to Hong Kong. When he called, he requested a ticket for later that very day because he felt a sense of urgency. The agent said the flights out of Pune were already fully booked, but there was one from Mumbai, so he got in his car and he drove there. When Danny, my husband, called my brother's home in Pune to inform him of my condition and tell him to come as soon as possible, my sister-in-law Mona picked up the phone and told Danny that Anup was already on his way. Right? This is that divine understanding that we do not need phone calls. We do not need texts. We're feeling the vibration of absolutely everything, and when we need to be called to something, the universe will get a spark of interest in us. And so when we let go of that control and think that we can will our way through life and make it go in an order like this, we're always living and trying to control things, and that's why we're all living in panic and stressed all the time. But if we could literally drop the oars and trust that something will get your attention to tell you something's needed right now, and you'll know what you need to do in that moment, you get to relax and realize you're part of something greater than this physical experience. You are a part of all of it. You are an important part of every aspect of it, and nothing's going to leave you out, make you sick, or make you afraid. The universe is supporting you every second of the day. If you just get out of your own way that doesn't trust yourself, trust God. That's all you have to trust. So Edgar Cayce, who my middle name is named after him. My middle name is Casey. My parents were deeply involved in the Edgar Cayce work. when they founded Unity. They actually found Unity through Edgar Cayce, which is not a direct connection with Unity, but the values that he taught through his psychic work were so close and they're so amazing, and yet this guy got to go to sleep and tell us some more visuals of the unseen realm, which is really cool. So Edgar Cayce writes, "Soul family is the spiritual equivalent to your birth family here on earth. They may take the form of a relative here on earth, or could be anyone in your life. When you meet them, they feel like your siblings, parents, or children. You and your soul family share the same oversoul, so you are all aspects of the same soul. Soul family relationships have the greatest longevity of any relationship. This is the one that will last a lifetime and beyond. The connection provides such amazing love and support that no other relationship can surpass." So Anita writes about this in a way. "As I lay comatose on my bed with all the tubes coming out of my nose, mouth, and arms, my husband stayed by my side, whispering to me in order to let me know that he was there, telling me to come back. We will have so much to do together, my darling," he was saying. I could hear Danny whispering, "Please, please come back. I'm going to wait right here for you, even if it takes a lifetime," he says to her. He stayed awake the whole night, watching all the dials and meters above my bed, waiting, not wanting to miss it if I were to take my last breath, willing me to come back. And these are the words she so desperately wanted to express. "Dear Danny, I hope you will always know how much I love you. I found myself wanting to communicate with him. Please don't worry about me. I'm fine. I wish I could share with you what I know now. That body whose hand you're holding isn't the real me. We'll always be together, connected through all of time and space. Nothing can separate us. Even if I physically die, we'll never be apart. Everything is perfect, just as it is. I know that now, and I want you to know it too." That's what she's trying to communicate with him. And then the Bible says, "And Jesus said, 'All that I do, you can do too, and even more.'" See, we're waking up the ethereal, the spiritual, the part of us that knows so much how to navigate this life. Jesus proved to people for all time that they are divine and that every person has within themselves the power of healing. People can be a healing influence for others, and they can be healed, and nothing shall be impossible to them. If it's not supposed to be impossible to us, then look at the limitlessness. Look at the possibilities in this moment. So, in the end, Anita woke up and was healed completely of the cancer. The first time she looked in the mirror after waking up, she writes, "I wept not for the sake of my vanity. My physical appearance didn't seem important in that moment. Instead, I had the same deep sadness that anyone would feel when looking at a person in that condition. I felt sorrow combined with profound empathy for myself. I could see that image in that face, in those eyes. The years of pain that it took to get where I was today, standing here in front of the mirror. How could I have allowed myself to go through so much anguish? How could I cause myself this much pain? I grieved. Yes, I felt as though I'd done it to myself. I reached my hand up toward the mirror, and as I touched the image of my tearful face, I made a promise that I'd never hurt myself so badly again. I would never live my life not listening to my heart in every action and decision I made." I know we can all relate with this, because anything that's in discord in our life right now, we really have to understand that we are drawing it towards ourselves from a place of not truly loving ourselves. No matter how much we want to blame the circumstance outside of us, no matter how much you want to say that it's because of this or my parents or whatever, in the end, from the vantage point that you're standing right now, everything that's happening outside of you is being drawn to you by a lack of divine love for the incredible being that you are. And so it is. I love you.
freely we have received some incredible insights, and we can carry that inspiration with us into our relationships in the world today. That's the key to saving the planet and everybody on it is consciousness. That is why unity is such an important element in the evolution of humanity. That we can take this beautiful insight about our true self and carry it with us into the world and inspire everyone else around us. So knowing that, we have a joy and a peace that comes along with it. And so it was freely given, and we have these ways here that people watching online, you people online can watch. You can donate in any fashion you wish to Unity of Boulder to keep these truths moving into the world. So let's bring to mind that financial gift you'd like to make. Everyone here can bring that ideal into their awareness and into their hands. And let's bless this gift with this offering prayer. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, because I give. And so it is. I do believe we are going to have our Hawaiian dances again. Let's have a big hand for them. Bring them on out.
I want to thank the Ayakaluki, I was going to try to read it, Laika dancers. Let's give them a round of applause. What a beautiful experience. The kids are going to sing today. And we want to let you know that we have prayer partners available to you today. If you just stay seated in your seat after the completion of the service, the prayer partners over here, they'll come and find you and take you to our beautiful prayer room and have a prayer with you. And also, we have a potluck today, so if you go grab a dish, and we're going to all eat together in about 20 minutes. So we'll see you at that. And so let's all rise, and we're going to let the little ones, our future, sing, "Let There Be Peace on Earth," and we can stand up and sing with them.